traditional school of thought is once the queens are off, game can sort of move towards an inevitable draw. But it looks like the pieces are sufficiently dynamic here. You guys mentioned the pair of bishops. There's still plenty going on the board that makes things just that little bit more interesting, just that little bit more dynamic. And even without the queens, there's still so much play left.
Yeah, there's still most of the pieces on the board. I'll call it a queenless middle game, just as much as it is an endgame. And it does look like momentum is going to be the biggest thing. For Esipenko, though, he needs to keep up to speed on the clock. His position is fantastic for now.
Incredible position, but this is the storyline we saw in that game one, right? Esipenko getting that opening edge, being the one on the front foot, playing for the win, but not having enough time in the end game to convert. Right now, 6 minutes, a beautiful position for the white pieces. The rook's coming to the center of the board, the knight jumping to some key squares in Jan Nepomniachtchi's camp with big threats. Compare the two bishops that Esipenko has to Jan's undeveloped pieces on the first rank, and it's easy to say, once again, it's advantage Esipenko.
Yeah, that white knight, this variation we predicted has come to pass, and that knight is the MVP right now. The white knight is creating some big threats. Jan Nepomniachtchi slowing down. He's a great defender, we should mention Jan Nepomniachtchi, but he'll have to show all of his skills here, even more than in the previous game.
So this is, I guess, one of the classic techniques people use in chess to compare what's going on. You look at what the pieces look like, right? Both sides have a pair of bishops and the knight. You're comparing the activity and going, is my knight better than my opponent's knight? Are my bishops better than my opponent's bishops? And it just feels like, from a cohesion point of view, black's causing white some problems, but white's pieces are so beautifully placed. Like, how can you deal with this? How do you resolve this?
It's a tough ask, and the problem child for black in this position is the rook on a8 at the corner of the board, which can eventually come into attack, combining the knight with the dark squared bishop. There are so many threats, so many hanging pieces, so many tempos that the white knight can jump with. And all these ideas extremely tempting for Andrey Esipenko. And David, this is the final 10-0 game. You know, whoever wins this, if there's a decisive result, they go on in the winner's bracket.
Yeah, this is very important. Jan here with a bit of a frown, sipping some water, or at least trying to, struggling to open his bottle there. Normally that's a power move. You try to show your confidence. He's looking very relaxed, but I think internally he knows. We see the heart rates there. Jan's heart rate much higher than his opponent's. He knows he's in a bit of trouble if Esipenko finds the best moves. You can kick away the black pieces here, but you have to be accurate about the move order.
It depends on how you open the bottle, right? If your hand is shaking and you just about manage to get there, it takes you 3 or 4 goes, that sends one message. You flip it open, the lid bounces 3 meters off the stage. You don't care, you take a swig, and you have a wry smile on your face. That's all good.
I'll tell you one thing, we've seen Jan Nepomniachtchi with all those hand movements as World Championship matches, struggling to open those water bottles. Right now, he looked more confident. I wonder if the clock is also the reason for that. Now, finally, the rook trying to come into the game, getting the bishop out of the way. You are giving up a pawn. The knight could jump and have taken that b7 pawn, but first, Esipenko protects his own queen side.
So, it felt like a couple of moves ago, black might have been, I don't want to say in a little bit more trouble than he is now, but certainly now playing with a bit more confidence. Did Esipenko lose the thread of the attack somewhere? Did something run out of steam? What happened?
Yeah, I think Esipenko, he tried to hedge his bets a bit. He has won a pawn, we should mention. White is now up a pawn. The light squared bishop grabbed a pawn on b7. So he's kind of transformed his advantage. Maybe he would have maxed out his advantage by keeping the knights on the board. That white knight was so dominant that actually winning this pawn probably wasn't the kind of #1 priority. But this position, it still should be white who's the only side who can win. I do worry about the clock here, Tanya.
It's an extra pawn for white, but we spoke about piece activity early on. And now look at Jan Nepomniachtchi. His pieces, they were the ones on the back foot, undeveloped, but it's the rook that's infiltrated on the first rank, looking at putting some threats on that white rook with the bishop eventually sliding to a square where it can attack it. A lot of piece harmony here for Jan. Yes, he's on the defense, but I think he believes he's got enough resources to keep the game in balance.
So, short question, possibly difficult answer. White, piece activity, extra pawn. But what's the breakthrough we're looking for here? Like, what should we be looking out for at home?
That's the $1,000,000 question. And
250,000 here. But
50,000, yeah, exactly. But you need a pass pawn. It's that simple. You need to push one of your pawns forward, break through enemy lines, make a new queen. But that's kind of a distant dream. So it's micro plans. First here, Esipenko, this move given a question mark, but logical. He wants to trade off dark squared bishops. Later, he might want to trade off light squared bishops, maybe the rooks as well, and having an extra pawn is his goal long term.
But bishop f2 looks like a very sensible move. Given a question mark here, what could white have done instead, huh?
And like you said, traditional chess wisdom, right? Get the pieces off the board if you're up pawn. Now imagine if all the pieces are off, it's a pure king and pawn ending. Esipenko wins, goes ahead in the upper bracket just to keep the game going. He makes the most human moves. You know, he declined a repetition early on that was offered by Jan Nepomniachtchiti a few moves ago. And I feel he's done everything, which is practically correct. Got the king from the edge of the board towards the center. He's still, from a practical perspective, keeps winning chances alive. Now the rook looking at coming in from the 6th rank. But Jan Nepomniachtchiti gets his rook on the attack.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what could Esipenko have done instead as an idea, because I'm looking at piece activity now and I'm going, you know what? Black's piece activity looks pretty darn good here with that rook being an absolute menace on the back rack. So has something gone wrong here?
I think it has, and it's mainly just great defense by Nepomniachtchiti. I don't want to take anything away from Esipenko, who's done all the right things. He's grabbed a pawn, super active pieces earlier, but it is that black rook, the pest, that is saving black in this position. I just feel that Esipenko, he's been trading too many pieces. Previous game, had the advantage, traded queens, it was a draw. This game, had the advantage, traded pieces, it's fizzling towards a draw again.
And I'm going to point out, for Jan Nepomniachtchiti, the MVP, the most valued piece is indeed that rook, which is going to shuffle around from one side to another, just attacking those 2 pawns, the H and the A2 pawn. That's what he's trying to do. Jan Nepomniachtchiti just does not care. He literally does not care right now as he's putting the pressure on for Esipenko. He's gone in with a check.
Apparently there's just one move here that will save black. He has to bring his king back to the dark square, to e7. There we go. He finds the best move, Jan Nepomniachtchiti. That is to stop the white king infiltrating, but there we go. Esipenko, he's making his move now. This is a bit of a gamble. He's given up his extra pawn. Black has a very powerful passed h pawn. He's going for checkmate against the black king.
So this is one of those interesting positions where the eval bar might not tell us half the story here, Tanya, because both sides now have some really scary moves that they can be playing against each other.
Less than half the story by the eval bar. Practically, this is a 3-result game. And black has only one move to keep the balance, David, and it's a tough one.
This is so difficult. The black king has 3 possible retreats. The black king's in check, but you actually have to block with your bishop. The only move to save the game, if you go back with the black king, the white king steps forward, and you're going to be courting some checkmating nets.
But what makes it hard to make that move is that you're self-pinning. Self-pinning for glory was Magnus Carlsen's tweet in the Dingler and World Championship match against Jan Nepomniachtchiti. He finds it. Bishop d7 on the board. Incredible resourcefulness there by Jan.
So is this a case where black just has to soak up the pressure and maybe play the rook to d1, David, rather than allow the king to get further back? Is that the whole point here?
Yep, defending that black... Ooh, he gives a check. I was going to say defending that black bishop was the #1 order of priority. The reason chasing the white king back wasn't actually best is because now the white king is near enough to stop the black h-pawn from running forward. That black h-pawn is the source of counterplay. White's gone a pawn up again after that trade of bishops. White now is 2-0 up in terms of passed pawns on the queen side. Long term should be winning, barring any tricks. But Jan here trying to slow him down.
And those are 2 connected passes, right? The most dangerous of the kind in a rook pawn ending for white that Andrey Esipenko has. If anyone's playing for a win here, it's white. The king does a beautiful job of defending the h-pawn from moving up the board. And meanwhile, your rook is assisting the 2 other pawns. I see the bar also agrees with this. I think this is big trouble for Jan.
That was a huge blunder, a huge mistake from Jan Nepomniachtchiti. He could have used the black rook to go behind before the white pawn started advancing, just paralyze those pawns. White would not have been able to touch anything. Now, white's construction on that left flank, on the queen side, it's easy. You can just push your pawns, push your rook. It's unstoppable.
Well, in short, white's king is playing an active role in defending while still able to push his passed pawns. Black's king is sort of neither doing one or the other at the moment.
He's trying to create some chaos on the other side, Jan is, but it's too slow. And David's plan, we're seeing that being played out. Push the pawn, give a check, push the pawn, give a check. And that's how this will play out. He's going to bring the rook back exactly where it came from and continue with the idea of advancing. But obviously, you have to be just a little bit careful. 2 minutes on the clock for Andrey Esipenko. Is that going to be enough to convert this?
Oh, the clock is his biggest hurdle right now. Esipenko, he waits with his king. Very logical. The white king is just biding its time. Now you can start checking with the white rook, but it's a bit of a race. The black is going to create some counterplay against the white king. No fully safe square to hide it on, but pushing your pawns, getting your pawns forward, that is what he wants to do, Esipenko. He gives a check first. Those pawns are moving. Wow, the race begins.
It begins, and it's the toughest one to handle with little time on the clock, no increment. And look at that, Jan, he keeps the pace, he keeps the pressure on the clock, he brings the king forward, now threatening some checks to win a pawn, and there's just one move. There's just one move. The white has, and he doesn't find it. He messes it up.
He had to give a check with the white rook, and in return, Jan Nepomniachtchiti blunders. He could have given a check with his own rook, and there was counterplay. Instead, he's giving away one of his pride and joys here. His passed pawn, that pawn has to be taken. You cannot let it survive much longer. Esipenko does get it off the board, and a check. This was his plan. Again, only one winning move here for Andrey Esipenko.
He needs to find the right square for the king, and he does it. He moves the king forward. It was the right one, and now it's going to be the 2 pawns on the left side of the board.
This is winning. Still, he needs to show accuracy. He moves his king across, but why that square? He could have chosen a square that blocked the advance of the white pawn, and now it's pawns versus rook. We're going to see a queen versus rook. Those 2 pawns are unstoppable. One of them will become a queen. This is going to be a crazy race against the clock now. Under 1 minute to win what is a very difficult position to convert.
This is a bullet ballet, and if anyone's playing for a win, it's white with the queen. He comes in with a check. The idea is to surround the black king with your own queen and king. Try to win that rook, but 47 seconds on the clock, it's still inholdable territory for Jan Nepomniachtchiti.
What do we think? Is he going to be in time, Esipenko, to win this queen versus rook advantage?
It's such a tough call, but I want to say, look at him on the screen. He's locked in. He's zoned into it. And with just the construction of the pieces, how close they are to the black king, David, if I had to take a call, I think he gets the job done.
He shook his head there, Esipenko. He's driven the black king away from the corner into the center. Now it's slightly harder to get that winning advantage, to win that black rook. But you can see how nervous he is, shifting up and down in his chair now, Esipenko. He knows he's so close.
Reaching the 30-second mark, and you can see it on him. Jan Nepomniachtchiti, his only hope, keep playing fast, keep playing as quickly as possible. There are stalemating ideas that black wants to set up as well, but with the king at the center of the board, that's not going to be possible. Well, for Esipenko now, 30 seconds. Gives a check, the king needs to stay connected to the black rook.
Does. Shake of the head from Jan Nepomniachtchiti this time, but he's eating away at Esipenko's clock. The white queen dropping back. Now the black rook is going to give a check, and no, it doesn't. Apparently it's checkmate in a few moves if white finds the right path.
And that's because the black king has been cornered to the flank of the board. But white has to be precise with the checks that are chosen. Does Esipenko, does he have it at the back of his hand how this is done with 25 seconds?
Key moment, the black king and rook are so separated now that there might be tricks, double attacks to win them. Jan Nepomniachtchiti has to invest some of his time to find the best defense, to keep this game going as long as possible.
And the more time Jan takes, the more time Andrey Esipenko has to figure out those queen dances, those queen maneuvers on the board. He gives a check.
He's getting closer though. That black king's in the corner. He's so close now. The black rook has no safe squares to go to. It's going to have to divorce itself from that black king. This spells danger.
And with speed with which Esipenko is playing, it almost feels like he's figured it out. Notice how there are no big checks that black could have given. White coming in closer with that death trap on the black king and the rook.
And this is a position that has appeared in so many chess books throughout history. It is totally winning now. You can win the black rook by force. Computer says mate in 4. Is he going to find it? It's checkmate. If he brings his queen up to the top of the board, he finds a different path. He's struggling here, Esipenko. The nerves are getting to him.
It's the clock against Andrey Esipenko right now. 13 seconds, so close yet so far.
Oh, he had a forced win. If only he had a few seconds more. Now, Nepomniachtchiti pauses. He's going to try and make things as complicated as possible. He's going to try and run away with the black rook or the black king now. He might be losing his rook, though. I don't see any safe moves here for Nepomniachtchiti.
It's so difficult to make a choice, and maybe there are no good ones, and maybe that's exactly what's dawned on Jan Nepomniachtchiti right now.
Checkmate is threatened in one move. We should mention the white queen coming back down to d1. Its starting square. That would be very appropriate as an end to this game. The white queen, the MVP. Nepomniachtchiti sitting back. It looks like he's about to resign. He's going to give up. Okay, a check, and now the black rook falls.
And 10 seconds has to be enough for a queen and king versus king. This is about to end in checkmate. 9 seconds is an eternity at this level to finish this off.
Esipenko's been practicing this since he was born. This is checkmate next.
Yay! And Andrey Esipenko takes down Jan Nepomniachtchiti in this incredibly tense first best of 2. Look, game number 1, tense draw. Esipenko was on the front foot, but that game ended in a draw. Same story in game number 2 with the white pieces. Esipenko trying to break through, and it took until his 3rd or 4th attempt to see the first cracks appear in the armor of Nepomniachtchiti, and that is an upset to start off the Esports World Cup.
Wow, who would have thought it? Our experts in the studio were saying Nepomniachtchiti was a favorite on paper. He was a huge favorite, but here are the closing stages as Esipenko found such a smooth conversion under clock pressure, Tanya, but he never looked like he was going to let it slip.
Brilliant stuff this was. You know, if you love an underdog story, then this game was the narrative that one had to follow at the Esports World Cup. What a banging start by Andrey Esipenko. The last minute